Chris Bearden's indisposed. I have his naked body tied in the closet. This is now my club of heroes. And I'm Evan Arnold, and this is...
Hey, I'm Jerund.
And you are...
I want to go home.
Answer the question. Who are you?
Felix Armstrong.
You're Felix Armstrong, apparently. And me and my friend Jerund, and Matt will occasionally chime in. We're going to talk about...
Felix.
FMV games. The wave of the future in the 90s, when there was a wave of the future.
The reason why Evan's introducing this is because actually me and Evan are more experienced with the terrible badness of games in general. We actually have Matt and Chris here, and it's great because they don't understand the glory that is a full motion video game.
Chris is not naked or tied up. Just a disclaimer.
He is tied up though.
He might be a little bit. We have a tiny net, some sort. But we know Matt here has never ever. We were talking about FMV games earlier, and Matt was like, "What?
You never played an FMV game before?
Never.
Ever?
I'm sure though you have seen them. You've never heard that term before.
Have you ever played a game where it's like a movie?
Never played a game.
Oh.
You're lying to me.
You are a liar. Plants for hire.
Have you ever played a game that had actual like actors in it? Like it was literally filmed. It was actually a movie. It was like you're watching a movie.
When you push buttons.
Did you ever play? Because I'm mad because you don't know anything.
No, actually I've seen Evan. He showed me Phantasmagoria, and that was one thing I had.
Well, for the people who don't know, like Phantasmagoria, an FMV game is full motion video. Basically. It was a game in the time of things like Sega CD and 3DO and a lot of adventure games on the PC. That it was like the next direction in games. You know, you had Super Nintendo and things like that. And where would we go? You know, 3D wasn't totally figured out yet. And so the only way to look was we were trying to make something as real as possible. Let's just make it real.
Phil Lamar has to be in it.
Let's just do real.
I think you play the game where it has like Jeff Goldblum in it with like that space game or something.
Jeff Goldblum? You mean Wing Commander?
Yeah.
That wasn't Jeff Goldblum. That was Mark Hamill.
Oh. Okay.
And that was Star Wars. And that was Star Wars.
And that was Commander was Star Wars.
But yeah, and that was like the next set, and it also opened up a lot of career paths for people. Like we'll talk about Night Trap.
Yeah.
Dana Plato's in that one. We'll talk about Double Switch and Corey Haim and Arnie Lee's in it.
Definitely, the guy who played Brutus in Double Switch.
The guy who played Brutus.
He had a successful film career afterwards in horror.
And you actually met him.
Yeah, I got to talk to him.
It was pretty good. And we'll talk about some other stuff too. But and you'll hear some clicking probably, and that'll be us showing these two. So we'll get their opinions on it as well. But where do you want to start?
Dude. I guess with our first FMV experiences. Mine was playing Mad Dog McCree on my DOS 8.0. I had that and like the Lion King game. I got that for Christmas one year. I was like 6. I was like, this is awesome. I can shoot bad guys.
I'm going to let you start with Mad Dog. And I know a lot of people have probably seen it because the Mad Dog games actually got re-released on the PS3 and all that for the Move and everything. Because they have the Quick Draw, they have Mad Dog McCree 1, and they have Mad Dog 2, The Lost Treasure.
Yeah.
Which I played Mad Dog 2, and I never found treasure.
No,
so I don't understand what the point of that was.
You always get sand in that game.
You always get sand in that game.
Yeah, you open the chest, it's full of sand.
A lot of miners getting shot at.
A lot of dead people for a pile of sand in that game.
Not much for treasure.
It teaches you that violence is not the answer. That was a real piece of gold you learned.
Another thing about those is that the majority of those games are actually made by, I believe, Digital Pictures.
Yeah, and American Laser Games.
American Laser Games. American Laser Games is the ones that make Mad Dog McCree and all that. Yeah. Digital Pictures, they didn't make Dragon's Lair, did they?
I don't think so.
Did they produce those?
I'm not sure.
They may be the DVD ones, but we're not talking about Dragon's Lair. That's cartoon. We're talking about live actors. Yeah. We're talking about the real stuff.
Real underpaid people.
We're talking about games that last 30 minutes.
And you have to click.
I want to start, because I was talking to Chris about it. I want to start with the system that everybody knows and loves. Everybody must have had it, was Sega CD. And Sega CD was basically another terrible attachment to the Sega Genesis that played CD games. And of course, there's such great games on there like Sonic CD.
It was like a Jenga tower. You could stack more shit on your Sega to make it catch fire faster to bring it down.
Well, what was it? You had the Mega Drive that fits under it, the Genesis itself,
32X.
the 32X on top of it, Sonic and Knuckles, put a game on top of that, and then for some reason, even though you had a Mega Drive, you could put the Sega CD on the side.
That is a flash fire waiting to happen.
I didn't know this, but there's actually a Sega CD 32X.
What?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and they only made like 4 games.
Yeah, 4 games worth playing. And I mean, again, back to that, Sega CD had some good games in it. I mean, you had the remixed versions of Final Fight, Echo the Dolphin, Sonic CD. That's it. Anyways, like
those 3.
And then you had the FMV games, which were so what?
Detective.
If you want, that's on PlayStation. We'll talk about that in a second. If you want Chris to pull one up on YouTube, we'll start with the most iconic one. We'll start with Night Trap. Well, he's pulling it up. Night Trap was made, of course, since it's Sega CD, it's made in the 90s. This little gem of a game actually helped start the rating system, and for some ungodly reason was one of the most controversial games, regardless of not having nudity, shower scene, violence of any kind, anyone dying, curse words.
Didn't have it was rated M, right? Or
it was. There's an edited version of it on the 32X, which is amazing. And they're gonna watch it. What makes that game so different, though, from other FMV games we'll talk about, is everything's in real time. If you watch the intro to that game, you have lost the perfect score. Because 8 of those augur things, which were like vampires that you'll see,
they had tongs.
They had little tongs where they grab people. Watching the intro fully, you miss 8 of them. So immediately, you actually have to sacrifice watching cutscenes in that game.
So who do you play as on these games?
You're the player. Okay? What you're gonna see is, you're gonna see a bunch of girls in this thing, and Dana Plato's the undercover cop, but they're talking to you. They're actually talking to you as the individual. And you're basically watching through a series of cameras in the house, and you're activating these traps. And as you can see, it tells you when they're near a trap by the indicator right there, the little bar. And you activate stupid shit like wall trap, floor trap, bed trap, closet trap, kitchen trap, table trap, bookshelf trap. All that stuff. The story of Night Trap is a bunch of girls go to the sleepover to a girl they just met at the mall, obviously. So they go do a sleepover to her house. However, unbeknownst to them, this family, they're vampires.
Oh, what a coinkydink.
Damn. Anyways. And so...
Vampires with tongs, not just any vampire.
Well, no, the family are vampires. What you're seeing are augurs.
Okay.
And the augurs are things that are not quite vampires, but their dream is to become vampires. If you can actually watch playthroughs of these games.
I like how you gave them ambitions.
Yeah. That's actually the true story.
Oh, really?
When the Sega task force comes storming into the house, they give you the rundown of what it is. Of course, you'll never know because you're wanting to kill Dana Plato for the perfect ending, so you're not going to watch the cutscenes, obviously, because you're missing them as they go. But yeah, they dream of becoming the
vampire.
The vampire, which is the family. A little thing about these two is that a lot of people that are in this actually become famous later. And you'll see, you two won't realize that the kid in the sunglasses and the yellow shirt, he's the one that does all the biographies for Martin Luther King.
Really?
Stuff, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yep. You can look that stuff up on Wikipedia. It's great. You can see all of them pulling in. That one right there, Dana Plato.
So Jerund, why do you think this game is so controversial if it's not violent, really?
Well, it always goes back to people don't play the game.
Yeah.
You see what's on the cover, and you hear what people hear, and you draw that conclusion. But there's nothing. You can watch this whole game, you will never see anything that just remotely blows my mind. But anyways, the player they task you to protect these girls. Dana Plato is actually the undercover agent that helps you, and by helps you, it means turning around every once in a while going, "Great job! You did it! You got her! Or him, or augur, or whatever." The only reason why you should play this game is to watch the 8-minute slumber party segment. Because in these they always sing the theme song. and somewhere in the game the theme song plays. And this one, they actually sing it through tennis rackets for some reason. I know Double Switch has it.
Right, it has a theme song as well.
Oh my god, but it's like wailed through that, guys.
Really bad theme song, but a theme song nonetheless.
But that's basically the gist, is you're traveling from room to room to find these things. And it's strange. I know that they have one on 3.2x. It's better on the 3DO because it has a better codec.
Right.
The Sega CD one's really grainy, and the 3.2x is this really tiny window.
Yeah, it's like the size of your iPod, like you're trying to play a game on your iPod.
Isn't that weird? People complained about that, and now we play games on our 4-inch screen on our cell phone. So I guess that says a lot.
I guess it's all relative.
Yeah. Oh, the next one we'll actually talk about is Double Switch, because it actually is the same thing as Night Trap. You're in a hotel, and you're actually helping Corey Hames.
Isn't Arlie Ermy in this one?
Arnie, yeah, that guy is in it. He's the janitor. At the beginning of this game, Corey Hames tasks you with the challenge of stopping telemarketers from storming the hotel, apparently.
That's a beautiful story.
That's what they look like to me. This one actually has 3 enemies. 3 enemies in it. At the beginning, it's telemarketers. It's the Mafia, but they look like telemarketers. It's the Mafia, this ancient gang that's trying to keep whatever's hidden in this hotel from being uncovered, and Arnie Lee. It's the janitor. This one you can lose in a bunch of different ways. This is what I remember from it. Either all the people get trapped, or there's actually, in the basement, there's a mechanism that they'll go for that actually takes your control away. And if they pull it, it's game over, like instantly. So you have to fight them for that. As you go, and a warning, if you even care about these games, there will be spoilers, because whatever. Yeah, the 2 people that haven't played these or want to. It actually changes. When you free Corey Haim from the basement, you realize that he's the bad guy. Arnie Lee's the good guy. The Mafia is kind of helping you, but kind of not. And these ancient people go away and never come back for some reason. So your sense of enemies actually switch. This was different in the fact that you distinctly have the traps on the floor, which you'll see when it actually goes through a playthrough. You'll see like square tiles and stuff. You have the choice of hitting the hotel, the people living in the hotel. You can trap them and like kill yourself pretty much in it. So there's a morality thing where you don't know, where sometimes you can't activate that trap right away because you'll actually hit the other guy. You know, things like that. It's actually got cool. Here comes telemarketer number 1, as a matter of fact. There's a trap. Oh, a chandelier. Bam. And then it kills them. It sends them into the dark void that is nothingness beneath their hotel, which is amazing.
Right. Actually, I did get to talk to Erwin Keys, who's playing on the screen right now. He was the gentleman that played Bruno, who's like the head mafia boss in this game.
The best thing is that the 2.
Actually, I met him at a con a couple of years ago.
Realms Con.
Yeah, Realms Con. But what he told me about the game was that constructing these set pieces, like the traps, was very time-consuming and very expensive, and that's part of the reason why this isn't done anymore, per se. A lot of work went into doing that. It wasn't really paying the actors, because he told me this on the side, these actors are kind of shit, but just building the sets, very expensive.
Right there, when he's singing, that's the Double Switch theme song. You can't hear it because he wails through it, but one of the biggest things too is they have to shoot the same scene over and over and over again, because there's the instance where you catch a wrong person, you catch the other person, you miss the trap, you never activate it. So there's that like tedious thing to it.
Now I just kind of barely listening to the Double Switch theme song, I realized that all 90s songs sound like...
Yeah, but I think that's just because, like, the writers wrote that song. This one's different because it focuses on rooms and stuff. Like, this guy's trying to access the code to shut you off. And that's what I remember most about him. And you could tell the tiles are, like, traps.
I love how they all stand on the wacky Egyptian tiles and expect nothing.
I think, because I've never played this game, I've just watched playthroughs of it and stuff and heard about it. I think the tiles actually signify the
kind of trap
it is. I'm super unsure about that. Whatever, you know.
So, are these games very expensive to buy physical copies of now?
Absolutely. I know Well, maybe not. I know we can buy Night Trap for like $30 now.
That's kind of a lot.
But it's not a matter of the price. It's that they're hard to find now. Like, you go out and try to find me Double Switch on Sega Saturn, at least. If you do, let me know, because I want it. Because I still have a working Sega Saturn, so I want to play it.
Okay.
Chris has brought a great one of mine. Now, we're going to deviate a little bit from the Sega CD. We're going to go to this. Actually, Chris, let me tell you something. This is the Let's Play Plumbers That Don't Wear Ties Part 1. I believe you can actually play this. I'm going to tell you, folks, this was a 3DO game. On 3DO, it was almost like open license. You can make a game. Me and Evan, we can make a game. Put it on 3DO.
God forbid.
God forbid, it'd be great. Plumbers Don't Wear Ties is an FMV game that is, in fact, not an FMV game.
It's a PowerPoint.
It is a PowerPoint and through and through. In fact, you can play this whole game on YouTube.
You can play this PowerPoint on YouTube.
As its entirety, as you would play it on 3DO. Plumbers Don't Wear Ties focuses around you, the player, which is this plumber that wears a tie, and his quest for woman. For woman.
For China.
For China.
As some people might say.
For China, if you want to. Of course, here in this, you see a lot of stuff where he's dreaming about race cars and pandas. You'll see a lot of stuff like that in this one.
That's commonly what I dream about.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, it's all done in slideshow. There's 10 minutes of scenes that don't make any sense.
So,
if you've watched the Angry Video Game Nerd, he really does sum that thing up, like, perfectly.
So did this also have a mature rating?
Oh, yeah, it does. In fact, you have to be 17 and up to buy the game, but 18 and older to see the real ending.
What is the real ending?
The real ending, well, before we do the real ending, it builds up where you do...
Oh, I'm ripped. Nice.
Yeah.
Looking good.
You will take the control, and you have to do these moral choices as the chick, which I can never remember her name. I think it's Laura or something.
It's Jane, right?
Jane, that's what it was.
Because I
run Jane, run.
Run Jane, run.
Run Jane, run. They like play Mario Kart at one point, which I love. They there's a choice with the boss where the boss is like, well, you know, if you want to get ahead in this place, you gotta be able to do anything. Then you have to make the moral choice. Do you take your clothes off for him? Because I remember that choice where he was like, you heard me, take your damn clothes off, because that's such a great line.
Very angry about it.
Yeah. And there's that one. To review the real ending, you have to select yes. You have to do the fake out. And then she like kicks him in the nuts, and he chases her across the world with a letter opener or whatever that scene was.
Because it was like your stock punch effect. It was like.
I remember in that scene you actually get to see the guy who made that game, Tom Zito. You actually get to see the dude. You know, I have to take that back. I think Tom Zito is the only guy that made Plumbers That Don't Wear Ties. But you see him in it because like the chase becomes like not real after a while. Remember? Because they sit and listen to classical music at one point. One of them trips on a banana peel. One of them takes a call from his mom. They take a picture with Tom Zito. One of them's running in lingerie into a museum and back out. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I wonder what
There's an ending though where if you distract the man by talking about your tie, you immediately turn gay and walk into the sunset with him.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and then there's one where the chick turns into a nun.
So, what's with the bizarre endings? Do they just not think of a way to end this?
It's basically nobody wrote that script. And, like, it was all done, like, right then and there.
It was like a drinking game.
I'm sure it was. There's no way. There's no way. I like how he put Plumbers Don't Wear Ties and left over. He put a computer and was like, I gotta go. He just left. Let's get away from that one for a second. I want to talk about Wirehead, because we talked about that game.
That one was actually a lot of fun.
Because I want to throw away the Sega CD stuff for a second. I could talk about Sewer Shark all damn day, but what is it? You go through tunnels and shoot shit.
Isn't Danny DeVito in that? He's like the fat guy? Somebody's a fat squat guy who's a mayor.
I don't know if it's Danny DeVito, though.
He looks like
Danny I would have known, like...
Probably not Danny DeVito.
So... long play. The biggest problem with FMV games, and it really shows on the Sega CD ones, is that they're literally 30 minutes long. They're 30 minutes.
Totally.
If you watch a long play, it's 40 minutes at most. But that's the limitations, and then we'll get into the PC genre of it, because when they start introducing them as adventure games, that's where they actually get really good. But for the majority of Sega CD, it's basically all film, and basically what we're gonna watch is Wirehead.
So how many discs did it take for you to play the whole game?
One.
Just one.
One. The 30 minutes.
Remember Phantasmagoria?
It's not music CDs. Well, that's an adventure game.
Oh,
remember,
yeah,
those things
right.
are going to be like 6 hours long and things like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
On this one, Wirehead's like a choose your own path kind of thing.
Oh,
think of it like Dragon Slayer.
Okay.
Think of it like
Okay, so is that like a game?
Yeah. Full motion video.
So I don't understand how it works.
They were just choices. You just make choices. And it was basically whatever you present. Like when he runs into a room, it would be like, do I go forward, left, or right? And then whatever you choose, the next scene would present itself.
So it's like those books.
Yeah, it's like you choose your own adventure book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I used to love those.
Wirehead features Evan Arnold at the age of 40 and has kids. And the early use of Bluetooth.
Where's my tie so I can hang myself immediately? A skateboard! I'm so surprised they exist in this game, apparently.
This one was basically you're this guy named Ned Hoverson or whatever, and you're the Wirehead, which was basically like this guy that can be controlled, and see it because there's like an earpiece in him, which looks like a Bluetooth, for the 90s.
Yeah.
They're on to something there. And you control him. You basically control him with the controller. Like Night Trap, like Double Switch. They always say, you, the player, control this guy. You have to get him to safety. And it's about Ned Hubbardson trying to, find what happened to the doctor and get the safety. Actually, it's not a wacky ending. It doesn't have a weird ending like the other ones do.
The Code Monkeys. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, do you think that this style of game allowed the player to envelop themselves in the world even further by just being the player instead of assuming an identity like they would in another game?
Yeah, it's another interesting take on trying to immerse. Because think of it this way, you're basically watching a movie. Why would you want to play this game instead you can just go watch a movie?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you have this new way of them going, well, what's real? How can we make a game realistic? Let's just film it. But what's it going to do for the player? So we'll immerse it because you're not really controlling these characters.
Yeah, obviously.
So, it's like you're putting the lives in their hand, kind of thing. So basically, you're on this run, and you make these insane choices, and the quickest route is to actually choose the least likely route. Dude, you have to get to the airport if you can, dude. There's a thing where he runs from the FBI, and you get to choose car, little girl bicycle, or skateboard. You choose the skateboard, of course. And you go down, they have, goofy scenes and everything like that. And he does, insane tricks, or whatever. Which, of course, the FBI is gonna go after him. I know he belts an old lady's groceries, and he flips over a couch in one scene.
This is the poor man's version of hitting a fruit stand in a chase scene in an action movie in the 90s.
Pretty much. I'm sure these games were $40.
Oh, they had to be at least
$40 budget.
Yeah.
Did you see the thing where he flew in? He gets to the airport because it always ends you get to the airport and stuff. But then that pre 9/11 where he's just when's the next flight? And he just jumps into the luggage thing and it just puts him on a plane anyways. But he sits in there and then another choice presents itself because now you're introduced with a bad guy. Another bad guy, which is this chick that's trying to kill him. And I don't know anything about this one, but I'll tell you what I do about it. But yeah, you do weird stuff like you jump out of a plane at one point and land in the Wild West and stuff like that. So it doesn't make any sense. What Beard just clicked on was Ground Zero Texas, which I just watched. And I just showed you
50 seconds of it.
All I know is the border. Apparently, according to Ground Zero Texas, the border of Mexico and Texas used to be a safe place until people started disappearing.
Oh,
so now
you don't say
you, the player,
place.
you the player, and an undercover cop.
Player.
We will talk about that game in just a moment. Are on the case to find out what happened. This game plays like Mad Dog McCree. It's a rail shooter. pretty much. Only, for some reason, everyone on the border has laser guns, including you.
Very common.
And you're attacked by scantily clad women in cowboy hats and Texas bankers. That's what I've seen.
That's my average work day. I get attacked by people with laser pistols.
I do. At my restaurant job, I get a lot of Texas bankers with laser guns showing up. Yeah, but like...
Okay, so that had to be expensive, because they had to rent a helicopter for that scene, at least.
I'm sure a lot of the stuff is actually, like, samples and stuff like that.
You're like stock footage of a helicopter.
I'm sure it is.
Paste it over the,
And you get the intros where they're like, you, come with us. And he's like, here's your mission. We're going to go to the border in Texas and Mexico. We're going to find out who abducted these people. They all got laser guns, so here's a laser gun.
How did the cameraman shoot this without laughing? That's what I want to know. How many takes?
Well, you know, there's a lot of stuff that we liked in the 90s that we probably should have never have liked. This was probably to be one of them. I mean, you look at these now and you go, my God, they thought this was the future. You know, so, what can you say? I'm sure in the future games will be just as short.
Yeah.
So, whatever. It's funny, it's funny because this is actually longer than most FMV games, given for what it is. If you will put bug blasters on.
What's interesting is, you know, they made that movie Doom with The Rock, and it was filmed from this first-person point of view, and they could have almost had done.
But here's the thing, and I told Boone about this, when FMVs were happening, they were racing to make as many adventure games, as many FMV games. There's Star Trek ones, there's the Wing Commander series, I think there's a Dune one. I really do.
Really?
There's X-Files, and they made like a whole like original case for that one.
The missing pudding cup. What direction does David Duchovny walk? Straight or sideways? Did he do the
It's not just about that pudding cup. Like there's more. Like you just can't grab it, sir. I'm sorry, but
the exterminators.
Bug blasters is what we'll talk about next. Bug blasters, Ghostbusters with giant talking bugs.
Yes. And
not as an interesting cast. Bug blasters has two names, and if you ever decide to look it up, you look it up as The Exterminators on YouTube. This game, I actually have. Like, I could play this on computer, and it's amazing.
Phil Donahue.
It's amazing. Bug blasters, it's great because the only actual person is, what was his name? Like, Larry Durf or Duff or whatever.
Something, yeah, it's on the credits here.
You're basically this team that looks like the Ghostbusters, and you hunt giant bugs because this town is filled with giant talking bugs, and you have a regime of giant talking bugs.
Sounds like New Jersey.
You have like the commander termite, the Mexican cockroach, the hornet. It's yeah, pretty much. And they're very stereotypical, which it's like, oh my God, you went after Night Trap, but this game. The intro is beautiful, and the fact that they just storm this chick's house and shoot up a bathroom and they miss everything.
I thought she was going to take a poop there.
Now, you mentioned Hugh the player. Well, she might have. That was the scary part. Hugh the player is actually your character, and his name is literally
Hugh
the player.
The player.
Like, you see the humor in that. This one, they're hunting dung beetles.
That's why it's poopy.
That's why she was taking a poop.
This is a rail shooter, too. It's a little more frantic than the Mad Dog, and the fact that shit moves everywhere, and your courser sucks. Go figure. You have 3 buttons. This is what I remember from it. You have 3 buttons. You have the shoot button, which progresses the story when you hit, because you have to get so many, like, scene transitions before it goes. You have the stun gun where he goes, yeah, and it actually resets the scene. It's like a safety, and you have the smoke grenade, which is like a safety. So you have 2 safeties in a stun. I remember the smoke one because he drops it and like giggles as he runs off or whatever. He's like a nerdy Ghostbuster when you like play this game.
Like everybody's Egon in this game.
The greatest scene in this game is that you have a generic fat black man in this. It is this guy.
He has a name. He's a person, Jim.
Yeah, it's generic fat black man. Okay, who cares? You can look at this and you'll never remember this guy's name.
He does look like a guy from karate.
There's a level where the Hornets steal all the
Yeah.
sweets and honeys from like stores and stuff, and you literally have to defend this guy, this black man, if you will, and he's buying candy bars from the bad guy, and you have to protect him.
Huh.
Yeah, there's like a part where he gets stung.
My God, this is so crazy.
Yeah, see, this is what I mean. Bugs explode. You have to look at this ugly guy's face all the time when you make a shot.
Wow, they really explode.
Yeah, it's like
I've crushed insects, but they've never exploded before.
your goal is you have to put video to some of this stuff. Because, I mean, us talking about it does not do justice.
No.
You literally have to
I'll have
stare
to slice and dice some vid.
Look, you
to
can put
compliment
one
them.
scene of Bug Blasters,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that's as much as we can take. You know? But they have stuff
It's
like
Kenny
that.
Rogers.
It really was a game that looked serious, but never took itself seriously, which
I'd hope not.
is good. It's
Yeah.
a campy thing, which is, oh, God, fine, good. Because, I don't know.
Man, there were
Crime
a lot of good
Patrol,
games.
which we wanted to look at. Well, when Crime Patrol starts, we can see what this is.
Is this
What
like-
is this?
Is this like SWAT?
I don't know. But
Oh, this is
tiny-
American Laser Games. The A.
Oh my God!
American
This is
Laser Games.
this is it. Have you played this?
I haven't.
Or
I haven't
not?
even heard of this.
I'll talk about Snow Job. Remember that one? Crack bust
Oh.
results.
Was the
Broken Pixel guys talking about it.
was it the
What is?
This looks pretty good.
is that Ron Jeremy?
Look at it!
Oh, this is wonderful.
This is like this is like Maximum Carnage. Remember that old arcade
Yeah,
game?
dude.
But without all the good stuff in it. It's like if Maximum Carnage and
Spider-Man?
I'm talking about it's Maximum Carnage.
Is
It's
it
the
Carnage?
It's the real shooter game. Like you saw it with Area 51. It's like Area 51, but with actual like terrorists or whatever.
And all people are like, oh.
It's like it's like Wimp Easy Hard. It's like a Maximum Carnage and Police Academy had a
baby.
baby. That's exactly what that intro looked like. I demand you put that intro in.
Or Maximum like Lethal Enforcers. Because Lethal Enforcers.
Is this a training part?
Yeah, dude. The hand cursor's very similar to the one in Mad Dog McCree. The only difference is that it's a revolver.
He's just shooting everybody.
But you still have like a yellow Simpson hand in that game too.
He shot this. Dun, 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 dun. Mahoney! I just had that dude running out on fire. So it's just the Crime Patrol one looks the same. Looks the same. You're the rookie sidekick of this guy apparently, and you'll probably do a bunch of them. That guy was like, "We got another scumbag to go after."
It does.
Yeah, this is more or less what Mad Dog.
This
3 is
actually,
like.
this is really cool. This like, but Mad Dog was you were presented with a scene, and then like a dude would talk to you, and then
Right.
you could only shoot him when the guy whipped out his gun. This is like Enforcer.
Yeah, it's like
This
Lethal
looks like Enforcer. It's just FMV.
The Lethal Enforcer's the FMV.
God, I love that game. But like, yeah, this looks like Lethal Enforcer with that's just film or whatever.
Eat that, you copper. I love playing that game.
Closed. You just shot a guy and it was like, done. Case closed. Fully being a cop on the streets was that easy. Look at him die. But, yeah, dude, they did have good games. Like, not all FMV games were bad.
No.
Like, there were some that were, like, really cool. But if you will, let's get to the adventure games. As FMV went, the FMV games actually got a lot better. They, to overcome the limits of a 30-minute game, it actually went to stuff that was filmed, and they turned them into adventure games. You know, no different than stuff like King's Quest and everything, only some things was shot. Let's start with Dark Seeds. Remember that one?
Yeah. That was a weird game.
I will save it and go to 2. Just go to 2.
That's a strange game.
Darkseid, the only notable thing about Darkseid was that the guy who did the art for Aliens, the movie,
H.R. Geiger.
Yeah, he did he actually designed all the monsters and all the stuff for Darkseid. which is interesting and stuff as it is. There's tons of long plays on this. And what basically, Matt, you're gonna see is this doofus is gonna run down a tunnel like all day long.
Exciting.
Running down the sewer?
No, he's in like a dark world.
Oh,
There's a good world, dark world. Our hero is Jeff Foxworthy. It's a guy that looks like Jeff Foxworthy. You know, you can sum it up with Jeff Foxworthy. Can you do a good Jeff Foxworthy impression?
I refuse.
You refuse?
This Dune game over here on the sidebar is over 7 hours.
Yeah! It's good! That beats Call of Duty. Can you believe it? Basically,
It is Jeff Foxworthy.
Yeah, see, pretty much.
Looks like the librarian from the high school. Actually looks like Jeff Moss. Jeff Moss is in this game.
He just turned into a goat man. Oh, he's dreaming.
If you and your loved ones are trapped in a dark, parallel world full of monsters and aliens experiencing the terrors of carnivals and massive headaches, you might be playing Darkseeds. So, like, that's about I could sum up. Darkseeds 1 was made on the Amiga, which was an old computer.
Still a fun game, though.
It wasn't FMV, but it was kind of FMV. It had a lot of mini stuff, and basically it was the terror. They're out for your brain. Because they put an alien in his brain, and you know he has to figure out a way to like get it out.
To
the bad guys,
the brain alien.
The bad guys are actually the people that he's helping to save the world. That's the weirdest part about it. Darkseeds 2 is a not as good sequel, but might be funnier, where they're actually after his soul. Long story short, there's actually a biker guy, and it's actually his evil self, and stuff like that. It's explained like midway through the game, and then you forget about it. It's like it's got that curse writing, you know, it's terrible. Another good one is Toonstruck.
Yeah, that's a cool game.
We'll have you type in. Toonstruck has Christopher Lloyd in it.
That's
Christopher Lloyd and Ben Stein.
I've seen Toonstruck.
What makes Toonstruck so unique in the fact that it Toonstruck, everything is cartoon but Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
All the items he uses, all the characters he talks to, everything he interacts with.
It's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the game.
Yeah, except, I mean, literally everything is cartoon. I like this game. I had a huge fascination with this game because I used to watch stuff like Angels in the Outfield and stuff with Christopher Lloyd in it. I was like,
yeah, I never watched that stuff, yeah.
And this game was really adult because adventure games were like a big deal. In fact, a lot of these adventure games actually start the extremely like violent stuff, which we will talk about when we get to Phantasmagoria and Harvester.
Harvester
Yummy cinnamon stick.
was like Postal, but the adventure game. Like, it was just violent just to be violent.
Yeah, that was like the unnecessary.
Yeah, that was like the most tasteless, raunchiest thing you could vomit up and make a game out of, you know?
Weird.
It was bad.
So basically, in the story of Toonstruck, is you play as Christopher Lloyd, and he plays this artist, and he has to make this character before he gets fired. That's like the starting point of it. His name is Drew Blank, which he's an artist having trouble.
Of course, his name is Drew Blank.
Drawing the next cartoon character again. Ha ha ha. Very funny. But the real story is that he actually gets dragged into a cartoon world, and he made this cartoon called Flux. Flux Wildly, I think is what you said it was. And it's an adventure game, and you have to stop the dark side of the world from taking over everything, because there's a balance. There's the dark side, the light, fluffy, happy side, and then the wacky, acme, Looney Tunes side. And, through the course, you'll change stuff, you'll like, do weird things to, like, make stuff happen. It's really hard to explain. I don't know. You get to see Christopher Lloyd make a lot of, like, adult witty quims and stuff, and that's what I really liked about it. Because this one has to be, like, writing at its finest.
Yeah.
By far. And Ben Stein's in it, too, but, like, he's only in it at the beginning and end. A lot of characters that
For dry eyes, use Bizane.
If I don't see another copy of Fluffy Bun Bun on my desk by tomorrow, you're fired. Where's my $1 million? Anyways, what makes another thing is a lot of people who do voices for cartoons especially in the WB, like Animaniacs and stuff, actually do voices of cartoon characters in this.
Interesting.
That was something like I had to like really delve into, and there was actually a cult following where they were trying to get the company to make number 2, because it sets up for like a really terrible second.
So far we've seen really awful off writing with like plumbers don't wear ties, and we have something like Toonstruck. So there's a lot of variety there in this genre.
But you have to remember this is as it goes.
Yeah,
like,
true.
FMV games were just I don't even understand it. It was like they were so awful, they were so blatantly bad, but people were still making them. It's like, where do you go?
I'm assuming people enjoyed all of them if they bought them, because they must have had a market to be making more.
And people will hate on it, but it's the same like Call of Duty. You know, look at that craze and no different than that. Okay?
The phone agreed.
The phone, thank you, phone. Thank you, whatever it is. Let's do Phantasmagoria.
Okay.
I want to do that one.
Sure.
I want to actually, because you introduced me to that game.
Right.
I actually want you to do the talking for that one.
Sure.
Because I have talked way too long.
I will talk as much as I can about that game.
We will make mention of 2.
We'll mention it aside.
We will tippy toe
across
around
2.
We will be like, shh, don't let them know we're talking about.
Okay, so
actually, what I would like you to do, Chris, Phantasmagoria kill scenes, because this is what Phantasmagoria was known for.
Oh yeah, it's like the fatality scenes in Mortal Kombat.
Except I think you were much more harder to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, that will work. That will do. So, from what I understand of when this game was getting advertised, this was like, let's say, the ultimate horror adventure game when it came out. Like, it was really billed as being a big thing. And it was a big game. It had, I think, 8 discs? 9 discs? I had a lot of discs. More discs than most people would have seen for a single game. How do you keep track of 10 discs? I mean, seriously. Like, how do you do that? But the story is this couple move into a mansion where, like, this stage magician who was, like, evil used to live there. And the husband is slowly possessed by the stage magician. And, of course, being a stage magician, you can't just kill you, the player, his wife. You have to do it in the most violent, god-awful way possible. Okay, that's a good one right there.
Let's hope they show it, though. That's the thing.
I think they will. Yeah. Okay, so she's getting the axe throw. She's getting tied to a chair right now. And they must have spent quite a bit of their budget on the death scenes alone. And this is not only just to punish you, the player, for fucking up so badly, but also, I mean, this is what people look forward to in horror films. They want to see the main characters get torn to shreds in the most awful way possible. So it's a punishment and your bonus at the same time. There was a second game, but it had nothing to do with this one at all. So I think what you have to do is you run around collecting evidence of the stage magician, like finding out what all of his wives were and what they died of.
Wow.
And like trying to stop him. I think you end up killing your husband no matter what you do, unless you die in this game. And it's over the span of several days. When this came out, this like made so many waves because it was amazingly violent. No one had seen a game this violent before. This predates Harvester.
Yeah.
And Harvester, like we were talking earlier, Harvester is like the Postal of adventure games. It's just violent, just for
that
violence
one was
sake.
Controversial too, because you kill kids in that one too.
Oh yeah,
it's like the only game where you could do that.
Yeah.
You're excited about that.
Yeah. Hey, that newspaper kid had a handgun?
Yeah,
what a dick.
He could shoot you.
You get that gun, man.
Yeah.
Easy. The game's easy.
But as awful as Harvester was, it was also kind of like making fun of the whole video games turn people into killers thing, because that was what the game was about. You're like in this government program that was supposed to do like a Stepford Wives 50s scenario, but it was all like messed up, and like it was virtual reality, and they're trying to kill you into a murder. They're trying to turn you into a murder machine.
What I really liked.
That's right, phone.
What I really liked about Phantasmagoria was it's super high quality.
Oh yes.
Like this game is ridiculous, and the amount of like content that was in it. The writing's pretty good in it, but the death scenes are incredibly like acted out.
Oh yeah.
Like you saw the first scene. It's not just like a choke to you're dead. Like you literally saw a whole like 3 or 4 minute struggle with his hands on her neck.
Yeah.
And stuff. And it has that like I don't know. That's why I like this game. It has that realistic.
Well, you know, it's like a Tom. Like the special effects. The special effects are very good. It's like something you'd see that Tom Savini would do.
Oh, is this the one where the demon rips your face apart?
Yeah. At the end, you fight the demon that was possessing the magician / your husband. It's been so long since I've seen or played this game that I'm not really clear on the story.
It wasn't bad 3-dimensional.
Honestly, for the time, looked really cool. Oh dear. Ice cream.
Look at that. Wow.
Yeah. So needless to say, everyone got in a tizzy because of all the blood and gore.
Yeah. So then there's Phantasmagoria too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you talk about that one.
You want me to talk about that one?
Let's tippy toe fast past that one. Like,
okay, you play a guy who like wears the same gray shirt every day, and like people die in his office, but no one's really investigating it, and like it's dumb. There.
Let's ruin it. You can't leave your apartment until you let your rat get your wallet under the couch.
That's correct.
You are an alien.
Yes.
Deal with it. That's how you talk to your rat.
Mm-hmm.
Gay office zombie guy. Remember that guy?
Yeah. He hits on you a lot, actually.
Dream Tree. I did not one time see a puzzle of flesh anywhere in that. That is the name of that title. And you sure do walk around. You sure do walk around your house.
You always look confused if you don't move. He's just turning his head.
I remember him being shirtless and cold, and a lady pointing a gun at him, and he was more worried about being cold because he was like, "Can I put a shirt on?" Like all the way through that scene or whatever. No, we're not watching any of those. We're not watching Phantasmagoria 2. That game was. Then
anything else don't want to cover?
There's what was that?
Got time for like one more game.
Let's talk about. You know what? Let's stop there for a second. Let's talk about something. And they still use live action stuff. Cause I want to talk about like stuff that they still use. They still use some live action things. There is the newer stuff. 428 Shibuya. Of course, most of them are Japanese because I mean it's a niche thing now. There's it's through Onami the Cursed Drug. I remember that one really well. There's 428 Shibuya. Which was you trying to get away from like a hitman or something. Of course,
something like that.
I don't speak Japanese, so it's okay. And they still use them a lot. Like Resident Evil 1 had the intro was live action. So was the ending. There was also
But I think now it's less about FMV as much as it is like importing some of the elements. Like if I could bring up LA Noire, it's like an FMV game except it's not FMV. Because it's like a movie,
It's all about that pursuit on how real can I make this game.
Right. Or, Heavy Rain.
Let's not make it an FMV game or whatever.
Heavy Rain could have been an FMV game if it was released in the 90s.
Dude, that would have been, like, that would,
you know what I mean?
That's present day adventure game.
Yeah.
Like, at its best. There was a ton, we didn't talk about Psychic Cop, but that's Psychic Detective, but that's okay.
There's a bunch we didn't talk about.
Ooh.
That'd be a long-ass video if we talked about all of them.
But there's a lot. I mean, they incorporate elements from it. Obviously, you see stuff like Area 51 and Maximum Carnage and Lethal Enforcer that use various...
I think it's Maximum Force.
Revolution X.
Yes!
Maximum Force might have been it.
Yeah.
Revolution X does
Revolution X.
It's more of like a Tim and Eric cut, copy, paste animation.
Close enough.
But, they still get used. I mean, it's not a dead art.
No.
To say. It's just not...
Well, 3D is a thing now, whereas before it wasn't.
Well, you know how 3D started? And this is just a side note on it. If you ever look up Highway 71, that's like one of the first all 3D voice incorporated games. What is going on with that?
That was the sound effect of Highway 71.
Yeah, it was a
lot like a
combat game, but it was popular because it was the first full.
Okay, so it's 3D. Like a Death Race kind of.
Exactly.
I like that game.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
But close that.
So yeah, that's FMVs in a nutshell. That's presented by me and Jerund.
Now you don't have to play those shitty games.
We might talk about it more in depth at a later date, right? We might pick one and just kind of run with it if you want to.
Yeah. When we can figure out how to edit some of those, we can do running commentaries. Because some of these games, again, they're like 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
They're ridiculous.
That's 30 minutes you have to worry about getting back anytime soon.
Yeah.
We're suffering for you.
Sure, I just did that.
I just wanted to go home.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Jerry.
I'm Evan.
I'm glad you listened
That was
to
Matt. Matt
Alex
said
Armstrong.
a couple sentences. If you want to reach us, clubofheroes@gmail.com. If you want to send us hate mail, our Facebook page is Facebook Club of Heroes.
If you want us to never talk about FMV games again, subscribe, like, share, tell your friends.
Comment.
Get your friends to do all that. Comment. Say very nice things about Evan only. And we'll never talk about FMV games ever
Bye.
again. Bye. I love you.
Party! Music! This is my cousin, Tony.
What's this? We got problems.
And my gracious brother, Jeff.
I think someone's taking control of the system.
We'll see if you can get it fixed. If not, we'll have to do it the old-fashioned way.
That could take all weekend. I got plans.
Yeah.
Come on, everyone. I'll show you to your rooms.
Okay.
Lisa.
Bye, Tony.
Come on, Lisa. Lisa.